When filming talking head videos indoors, your background is one of the most critical elements to get right so your video looks good. One of my favorite YouTubers is Peter McKinnon. This is his setup. The first critical element to get right is the depth from the back wall to yourself and your camera. And you can see here, he's got a nice space there. What you don't want is this, where you're right up against the wall. This will typically look really bad unless the wall is black and it's not showing at all. Another point here is white and light colors are typically the worst type of colors to have as a background. Dark colors will look much better. As you can see here, this white background doesn't look good at all. Symmetry helps to make the image look balanced. This is Legal Eagle. He's got a bookcase with books on the left and right. This is almost perfect symmetry. It almost looks unnatural, but I think this is a genuine bookcase. It doesn't have to be that symmetrical, but you want to have balance with the things on the right versus the things on the left. To enhance the image, it's best to have multiple colors and textures. And here we've got Peter's setup. He's got shelves with all kinds of things going on there. It looks like clothing. He's got artwork to break up the walls. He's mixing materials like wood, metal, and fabric to create visual richness. He's smart enough to know to avoid completely bare walls. Headspace is how much gap there is between your head and the top of the frame. If you run it too close, you get this effect where the top of your head will be chopped off. This is typically undesirable. You always want your head to have some gap above it. I like to have at least the width of my palm, if not a little bit more. Also, you want to remove clutter from close to the edges of the left and right side of your head. This is what Peter's got here. He's got negative space left and right. If you don't have this, it can look weird with items looking like they're sticking out of your head. It can be good to keep colors consistent. This is Gerald Undone. His background color is always purple. Doesn't have to be consistent all the time, but if you're constantly changing colors, it can lose that consistency, especially if you're creating thumbnails from your shots. Background lights adds extra detail, and generally the images will look much better with background lights in. I know Gerald has got lights on magnets. He stuck wireless lights to the frame of his bookcase here to get that extra pop on the top shelf. This is a textbook example of how to set up your lights. You have your main light or your key light up slightly above head height at 45-degree angles, pointing on one side of your face. And then you have a fill light on the other side, filling in the other side of your face. Some people go with a rim light, typically again out of shot pointing down. This will light up the side of their head. Practical lights are typically normal household lights. I haven't actually got mine switched on because it would be too overpowering. But if done tastefully and not pointing the bulb directly into the camera, it adds, again, more depth and texture to the scene. Let's analyze all the items Peter has in his setup. On the left, we've got the boom arm for his microphone. He's got a large boom arm. I don't have that. I've just got a tabletop stand. I did buy one of these boom arms, but it took up so much space. I ended up just leaving it in the loft because it was just too crazy, the amount of space it was taking up. So I would not recommend one of those unless you have a decent amount of space to work with. That's obviously attaching to his mic. He's got his camera, the tripod for the camera, his seat. Then he's only got one massive key light, which is a square light you see there with Amaran written on the side of it. And then he's got one fill hair light at the top, and those are the two main lights he uses to light himself. This is the final look. Bear in mind the camera's shooting against a wall we didn't know or we couldn't see was there. He's got the key light. You can see that's the bright side of his face. That's doing most of the heavy lifting in lighting him. Then the smaller fill or hair light is lighting the left side of his face to help fill in some of the shadows on that side of his face. And then the practical light is a funky looking household light, and he's turned these away from the camera to face the wall. Again, that's so it's not distracting, having a light bearing into your eyes as you look at him. It's a well set up scene, but again, because he hasn't got that negative space around his head, the gun is actually pointing at the side of his head, and parts of the frame of the photo are interacting with the side of his shoulder and his head. In a perfect world, he'd probably want to have that slightly off to the left.